It's great to have mentors around for sure.
So you start Western Wind at 25.
No, I started my first public company at 25.
Okay.
It was called Empire Gold Resources. It was a mining company. I went to mining school when I graduated, and went to mining school, worked in the mining industry, and I started playing the stock market when I was 18 years old, and I saw the people that were in the market that were running these companies, and I went, oh my God, there's like no integrity around here, and they don't even know the industry that they're in. So I took the professional training that I had and the experience that I had even at 25, and I created my first public company. I created another public company and another public company. And what my technique was I'd build the public companies up, build assets in, and then because I was so young, I'd bring older people in as mentors and then let them take over. So I would do the initial work, find the assets, do really the moving around, making it easier for a bigger guy to come in and work with me. And then at that point, I'm a director and I'm watching the action move forward. So I did that from 1985 in the mining industry to 2000. And in that 2000 was a company called Southern Pacific Development Corp that I had taken over as a little public company. And I had brought in, again, some big players, and they brought in these a very large oil sands project. And it was a $1.9 billion exit. So for me, I only had 2% of the company, but it was a lot of money for a young man. Did that till around the year 2000. And through me living at 65, I went through three great moments of history, and that is the age of extraction. So basically oil and gas, and then the age of renewable energy, and then the age of sustainability. So in that extraction process, things peaked out in Canada from where I'm from. The height of extraction peaked out. British Columbia couldn't compete with Brazil growing trees in 7 years for pulp and paper, right? And then the oil sands in Alberta, which can provide oil for 1,000 years. The issue with that is nobody wants excavations that are 30 miles long, 20 miles wide, and 10 miles deep. So kind of in came renewable energy into the fold. And I think it was Bill Gates said in the year 2000 that whoever can take the intermittent nature of renewable energy and store it will be the richest person on the planet. So in came Tesla. So it was a really good example of what clean energy could do and make it happen. So again, around 2000, I started a company called Western Wind Energy. So I had pivoted and I built wind farms in California and Arizona from the ground up. And I did it in such a way that I only raised $70 million in equity. I started with $250,000, raised $70 million, and then 3 years later sold it for $420 million to Brookfield Asset Manager, which is a well-known $900 billion asset manager in Canada. It was a hostile takeover, bought me in the public market. It brought me fame. It kind of gave me the gold ring in the sense that, this is a company that I did everything from scratch. Like I worked it from the bottom all the way up. And then I started seeing the flaws of renewable energy. I thought to myself, okay, the world has so many people in it. And the global energy production, if you divide it by all the people, is like 1 unit of energy per person. But Americans, I'm a Canadian, but the same.
Right.
We use 9 units of energy. Europeans use 4, and the rest of the world uses less than 1. So I thought to myself, we can't 9x our energy production or 90 times our renewable energy production to make everybody like us. That the real answer is sustainability, right? And energy reduction. And you can see that. So as big as Tesla is and doing the right thing, and how great of a guy Elon is, and I love him, and I'm so happy he's being involved in the government.
Right.
That we don't know what we're going to do with 50 million toxic car batteries a year, right? We haven't figured that one out. If we go the hydrogen route, we're going to have problems as well because you need platinum for the fuel cells and electrolyzers, and there's only like 80,000 metric tons of platinum in South Africa in the Bushveld Igneous Complex. So that's not really an answer. But 68% of all the energy we use is used around our home. And so if we can reduce that load, the greatest form of renewable energy is energy reduction. And the greatest form of energy reduction is around our house. So why don't I target for efficiency the most direct point of helping humanity? Oh, guess what? If I do a small sustainable home that has a very sophisticated layout and has energy efficient appliances and it has smart meters and it has solar panels on the roof, but it's in a smaller footprint. By default, it becomes an affordable home. And then when you have an affordable home, that's the biggest business opportunity in the United States. It's the biggest crisis, but it's also the biggest opportunity. It's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. America's short 7.3 million affordable homes because the average person cannot afford, 80% of the American public cannot afford a home that's $500,000, can't afford to pay the mortgage. And so you're finding communities losing people, losing good people, losing young families, losing seniors. They're leaving and they're moving to cities, and they're getting caught up in the life-drenching result of doing 4 hours a day in rush hour, 2 hours a day every morning to try to grab that job, to try to live, 30 miles down the road and sacrifice that great family time and quality time. So I thought, you know what? Sustainable housing is affordable housing. So what am I solving? I'm solving issues of your well-being and your health, the environment, your financial well-being, and I'm solving the biggest problem in the United States, which is affordable housing. So there's secret sauces in there. We can talk about and how to make that work. But so that's sort of a summary of the going from extraction to renewable energy now into sustainability.
I mean, just based on these experiences, they brought you to 3 or 4 big things, right? You learned a ton about finances. You learned a ton about renewable energy. And then obviously what pairs with that is real estate.
Correct.
And I want to talk about the 3 big properties or the big 3 communities that you guys have built out in Puerto Rico, correct?
Correct.
When it comes to real estate, everybody will tell you location, location, location.
Right. Yeah.
When it comes to everything that you're trying to build with Greenbriar, what was it about Puerto Rico that stood out, and how did you build those connections to kind of get everything going out there?
Yeah, so Puerto Rico's issue was extremely unique. So in the energy business, the United States, majority of the U.S., when I started in the energy business in the year 2000, majority of the production came from coal plants, which it was big in Arizona. So around 52 or 53% of all energy generated came from, and that was the cheapest form of energy production at the time. There's big hydro, but big hydro is not big enough. There's only so many rivers that you can flood for 300 miles, right? So coal was a dominant, then natural gas, and then hydro. But Puerto Rico has a uniqueness. Being an island country is the same as Hawaii is a state. So these 2 places burn crude oil to make their electricity. So that is the most expensive way to produce electricity, right? So, the retail energy price, I haven't checked lately in Arizona, delivered might be 14 cents a kilowatt hour. The delivered price, not what you look into a website, but the actual delivered price with all the add-ons and the surcharges is like 41 cents a kilowatt hour in Hawaii and around 41 cents a kilowatt hour in Puerto Rico. So it was an economic issue and a environmental issue because they're burning oil. So to me, that's where the greatest impact is. And that's where my energy is to focus, right? To solve big impact issues. I mean, in California, we have a house in California in Newport, and the electricity is 40 cents a kilowatt hour there as well. So there's all these surcharges in there. Again, it takes me back to why did I get in sustainable housing? It's because, again, if we reduce the energy we use, just by producing more windmills and more solar farms isn't going to reduce the price. It can't reduce the price, right? It's just going to make us more captive to being charged for the capacity that has to get built, that the ratepayers have to pay. So we got to be smart about the things that we do, and we are excessive consumers, and there's so many little things. It took 20 years for hotel owners to realize if I change my light bulb to an LED light bulb, even though the LED light bulb's much more expensive, I'm going to get my payback in 5 months. It took up to 20 years for hotel owners to do that. It just to make that change that's right in front of you. It's always a people issue. It's always a political issue. It's really never a science issue. It always boils down to people, I find. So targeting the problem in Puerto Rico, and that is the government was, well, I'm going to say this, I'm going to get in trouble, but the oil lobby, Puerto Rico from the years, I testified in Congress in 2017 on all the things that were going wrong in Puerto Rico in the energy business. And the chairman of the Natural Resource Committee, who's responsible for looking after Puerto Rico, his chief of staff wrote a report, and it said that from the year 2003 to the year 2017, that Puerto Rico overpaid $18 billion for the oil purchases that it made. So they got basically defective oil, meaning oil that wasn't at the right burner tip rate. So the energy content in the oil was a lot less. They overpaid $18 billion. So where did that $18 billion go? I know where it went. We all know where it went. It shows you that money, when it's that big, it's what it's going to do to make sure that certain things aren't done right for your own, safety, your own health and welfare, and your own economics, right? And we know that with the FDA. We know that if you have a drug, it's going to take you 10 years to get it to commercial fruition. In the meantime, you can satisfy problems, in phase 1 or early phase 2. But they make you go through this long process because when you bring that drug to market, it may not be the necessary cure-all, but it causes a pharma company to lose $4 billion in profits with an existing drug they already have. So why would I bring something new that gives you a 20% better success rate and lose $4 billion? Let's put that drug on hold for right now. Or you know what? Let's buy that public company that has that drug and let's just cancel that drug for the time being, maybe for 20 years or even longer. And I've seen that. I've seen guys, my contemporaries, selling drug companies. One guy came in my office when I sold Western Wind. He sold his he sold his drug company for $900 million. He had 3 suites of product that were used for other illnesses, but they had high cancer curing rates. And so he sold to, I think, to Roche or Sandoz in Switzerland. And I said, what did they do when they bought the company? He goes, they got rid of the drugs. They simply just buried the company. So the politics, those are the problems in energy. That's the problems in housing. Why can't we build sustainable housing in our communities? Because if I go to a municipality surrounding Phoenix, the town council doesn't want me to build 1,000 square foot detached homes because they think it's going to freak out people that have 3,000 square foot homes. And actually it doesn't, because the cost per square foot is actually higher. The overall product is lower, but it makes the guy next door that's got 3,000 square feet put on a bucket of paint, clean his house up, and actually increases his value. But it's very hard for political leaders to do that, and it's hard for the banking community to do that. And so there's this pressure point that's coming together. Mm-hmm. So again, going back to people, right? People solving problems, people creating problems and solving problems. So there's two sides of the argument. People creating problems, and then there's people that solve them by going, let's just provide more energy, right? I can't fit enough people in my Cadillac Escalade. Yep. So I'm going to make an XL version. We'll get 9 people in there instead. I'm not being funny. I mean, I love a Cadillac Escalade. Mm-hmm.